As they sat in the diner, a strange feeling settled over Jake. It was as if the very air around them was charged with an unseen energy, a presence that was both unsettling and undeniable. He glanced at Sam, who was staring intently at the window, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resignation. "You said you've seen it before," Jake said, his voice low. "And what happened?" Sam hesitated, his fingers tracing patterns on the dusty table. "It started a few months ago. I was driving through the Midwest, late at night, just like now. I saw a hitchhiker, a young woman, standing by the side of the road. She looked lost. So I stopped to give her a ride." Jake listened intently, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. "She got in the truck," as Sam continued, his voice trembling slightly. "But she wouldn't talk, wouldn't tell me where she was going. Just kept staring ahead, her eyes empty. I drove for miles, trying to get her to speak, but she just sat there silent." Sam's eyes grew distant, as if he were reliving the memory. And then suddenly she was gone. Just vanished. I stopped the truck, looked around, but there was no sign of her. It was like she had never been there. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. And then what? "A thing started happening," as Sam said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Strange things. I started seeing her everywhere. In the mirrors, standing by the side of the road, always watching me. I couldn't escape her. No matter how fast I drove, no matter how far I went, she was always there." Jake swallowed hard, the fear in Sam's voice seeping into his own bones. "And you think this thing following us now is the same?" Sam nodded slowly. "I don't know what it is, or why it's after me. But I know it's real. And it's not going to stop until it gets what it wants." Chapter 8: A Desperate Plan. Taking a stand. Jake felt a sense of determination rising within him. He had faced many challenges in his life, but nothing like this. But he wasn't about to give up. Not now. "We can't keep running," he said firmly. "We need to find a way to stop this thing." Sam looked at him, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "How?" "We don't even know what it is." Jake thought for a moment, his mind racing. Maybe there's something in the stories. Something that can help us. We need to find out more about this entity. There has to be a way to stop it." Sam nodded, the fear in his eyes giving way to determination. "All right. But where do we start?" "We need to find someone who knows about these things," Jake said. "Someone who can help us understand what we're dealing with." As they sat in the dusty diner, a plan began to form. They would seek out the stories, the legends of the road, and find the truth behind the haunting. It was a long shot, but it was the only shot they had. Chapter 9: The Road to Knowledge. Seeking answers. The morning light filtered through the dusty windows of the diner, casting long shadows across the floor. Jake and Sam sat in silence, the weight of their plan heavy on their shoulders. They knew the journey ahead would be difficult, but it was their only hope. "We need to find someone who knows about these things," Jake said, breaking the silence. "Someone who can help us understand what we're dealing with." Sam nodded, his face set with determination. But where do we start? We can't just go around asking people if they've seen ghosts." Jake thought for a moment, his mind racing. There are places. Forums, groups of people who are into the paranormal. They share stories, information. We could start there. Sam looked skeptical. "You think someone on the internet can help us?" "It's worth a shot," Jake said. "And we don't have any other options." They left the diner and climbed back into the truck, the engine roaring to life. As they drove, Jake pulled out his phone and started searching for information on paranormal forums and groups. He found several that looked promising, filled with stories and discussions about hauntings and ghostly encounters. Look at this, he said, showing Sam his phone. There's a group that talks about haunted highways. Maybe someone there knows something. Sam took the phone, scrolling through the posts. It's worth a try, he said finally. Let's see if anyone can help us. They joined the forum and posted their story, detailing the strange events that had been happening to them. Within minutes, they started receiving responses, people sharing similar experiences and offering advice. One message stood out. It was from a user named a Ghost Hunter, who claimed to be an expert in paranormal investigations. I've dealt with cases like this before, the message read. I can help you. Meet me at the old truck stop on Route 66. Midnight. Jake and Sam exchanged glances. It was a long shot, but it was their best shot. Chapter 10, The Encounter. Meeting Ghost Hunter. The sun was setting as Jake and Sam approached the old truck stop on Route 66. The place was abandoned, the buildings crumbling and overgrown with weeds. It was the kind of place that felt like it had a history, a past filled with stories of the road. This is the place, Jake said, pulling into the parking lot. Are you ready? Sam nodded, his face set with determination. Let's do this. They climbed out of the truck and approached the main building, the door creaking loudly as they pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of decay. They made their way to the back, where a figure was waiting for them. Ghost Hunter? Jake asked, his voice echoing in the empty space. The figure turned, revealing a middle-aged man with graying hair and sharp, piercing eyes. That's me, he said, his voice steady and calm. You must be Jake and Sam. That's right, Jake said, stepping forward. We need your help. Ghost Hunter no dead. I know. I've read your story. And I believe you. Jake felt a sense of relief wash over him. What do we do? We need to understand what we're dealing with, a ghost hunter said. Tell me everything from the beginning. Jake and Sam recounted their experiences, the strange encounters and the feeling of being watched. Ghost Hunter listened intently, his eyes never leaving theirs. This entity, he said finally, is not a typical ghost. It's something more powerful, something that feeds on fear. It's attached itself to you, and it won't stop until it gets what it wants. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What does it want? Your fear, a ghost hunter said. It thrives on it. The more scared you are, the stronger it becomes. Sam's face went pale. How do we stop it? Ghost Hunter looked thoughtful. We need to perform a ritual. A cleansing. It won't be easy, but it's the only way to sever the connection. Jake and Sam exchanged glances, their resolve hardening. Let's do it, Jake said. Don't stop at night. True trucker horror stories. Chapter 1, The Whispering Road. The Call of the Open Road. Chapter 7, A Glimpse of the Past. Echoes of Horror. Chapter 11, The Ritual. Facing the Fear. Ghost Hunter led them to a clearing behind the truck stop, where he set up a small altar with candles and strange symbols. The air was thick with anticipation, the darkness pressing in from all sides. This ritual will draw the entity out, a ghost hunter explained. But you must not show fear. If you do, it will become too powerful to control. Jake and Sam nodded, their faces set with determination. They stood in a circle around the altar, their eyes fixed on Ghost Hunter as he began to chant in a language they didn't understand. The candles flickered, casting eerie shadows across the clearing. The air grew cold, and Jake felt a shiver run down his spine. He glanced at Sam, who was staring straight ahead, his face pale and drawn. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through the clearing, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. Jake felt a presence, a cold, malevolent force that seemed to surround them. Stay strong, a ghost hunter said, his voice steady. A don't show fear. Jake took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He could feel the entity, its eyes watching him from the darkness. He fought the urge to run, to escape the oppressive weight of its presence. The chanting grew louder, the words echoing in the night. Jake closed his eyes, focusing on the sound, letting it drown out the fear. He felt a surge of energy, a warmth that seemed to push back against the cold. Suddenly, the entity appeared before them, its eyes glowing with an eerie, unnatural light. It was a shadowy figure, its form shifting and changing, never fully solid. Jake felt a wave of fear wash over him, but he fought it, forcing himself to stay calm. The chanting reached a crescendo, and the entity let out a blood-curdling scream. Jake felt a pressure in his chest, as if something was trying to pull him into the darkness. He gritted his teeth, focusing on the warmth, the light that seemed to push back against the entity. And then, with a final burst of energy, the entity vanished, leaving them standing in the clearing, the silence almost deafening. "Hey, it's over," a ghost hunter said, his voice filled with relief. "Hey, you did it." Jake felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him, but also a sense of triumph. They had faced their fear and come out victorious. The entity was gone, and they were free. Chapter 12, Moving Forward. A New Beginning. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Jake and Sam stood by their truck, the events of the night still fresh in their minds. They had faced their fears and come out the other side, stronger and more determined than ever. Thank you," Jake said, shaking Ghost Hunter's hand. We couldn't have done it without you." Ghost Hunter nodded, a smile on his face. "You had the strength all along. You just needed to believe in it." Sam looked at the horizon, the sun casting a golden glow over the landscape. What now?" We move forward," Jake said, his voice filled with determination. We face whatever comes our way together." As they climbed back into the truck, Jake felt a sense of peace, a feeling of closure. The road stretched out before them, endless and full of possibilities. They didn't know what the future held, but they knew they could face it, no matter what. And as they drove off into the sunrise, they knew one thing for sure: they would never stop at night again.